Be a part of the conversation with the business owners you know. The Michigan Business Wrap is live from downtown Lansing next to the Grand Traverse Pie Company. Welcome back. This is Tony Cuthbert, host of the Michigan Business Wrap on the Team 92.1, joined by a panel of business experts today, and they are
Bob Hedlund, Hedlund Plumbing.
Jim McDaniels with the McDaniels Insurance Agency, Farm Bureau Insurance.
Paul Schmidt with UnoDeuce Multimedia.
We're talking keys to delegating as a small business owner. I want to shoot this one at you guys and get your thoughts on it. I brought it up in the past, but it's very fitting today. Fortune magazine is proclaiming Theo Epstein as the world's greatest leader. The first question is, do any of you know who Theo Epstein is?
I do not.
I don't know.
Okay, nice. He's the Chicago Cubs executive, okay? He's the president of baseball operations. He's followed by Alibaba founder Jack Ma, Pope Francis, Melinda Gates, and Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos. Okay, that's on the list, the top 5. So Theo Epstein is number 1. Fortune stated that the Cubs owe their success to a 5-year rebuilding program that was spearheaded by Epstein. He took over the Cubs in 2012, and the team earned its first World Series championship since 1908 last season. The 43-year-old Epstein previously won 2 titles with the Boston Red Sox. So this guy is turning around franchises that did nothing, and he's won World Series titles with them. And the story that I love, Epstein followed a rule that fast-tracked his career. He's 43 years old, and he has one rule that he has always followed. And this is what he says. Whoever your boss is or bosses are, they have 20% of their job they just don't like. So if you can ask them to figure out what that 20% is and figure out a way to do it for them, you'll make them really happy, improve their quality of life and their work experience. In other words, take on the aspects of your boss's job that he or she hates. All right? By diving into less glamorous work, you will gain respect as well as invaluable experience for yourself. So this is an example of an employee that doesn't wait for the delegation. They just jump right up and take it over for themselves. What do you make of this theory that Theo Epstein has?
This is Bob Hedlund. I do agree with that. As far as what you're trying to do is smooth line the entire operation, literally, if that means from top to bottom. I'm not saying somebody at a low level, I'm talking corporation, a larger, is going to walk into the president and say, what can I do for you? Maybe they are, but I'm not real sure they're going to get real far. But yet everybody has some form of a boss or a manager or somebody overseeing them. And the more you can do at your own level, the more value you're going to bring to your salary and to the company. And you got to remember the bottom line of a wage or salary or anything like that. Business owners, whether it's corporation or small business, we're basically trading the company dollars for your value. So the more value you can bring to a company or an organization, the higher they can justify paying you. So if you want to make more money, bring more value to the company. And if the company understands and you can promote yourself doing that concept, you will bring the value, and therefore you should be making more money.
This is Jim McDaniels. I totally agree with that quote as well. Essentially, if you think about it as for us as business owners, or at least me, myself, quite often if I'm hiring somebody new, I'm getting to understand them, learn about them, and it might take me 6 months to slowly peel off some things as I'm feeling that person out, maybe to ask them to do. And if that person is on their own, initiating some, initiatives to try to take on some of those things that they see that either make me better, stronger, they know I'm not perfect at, not necessarily that I don't like it. It's only going to be an asset to me. And I'm thinking about one individual in particular. I would honestly say, for the first couple of years that she was with me, she was always a couple steps ahead of me, and it made my day so much smoother with a lot of the what I would call mundane things that I don't like to get buried in, but she made sure I was taken care of all the time amidst everything else she did. So she provided a great value to me.
And this is Paul with UnoDeuce Multimedia, and I, with the others, do agree with that. And I think that bringing that value and bringing that that intuition of, well, I can add on to this. I can do more here because what the folks are doing is making their job easier. That's their mind frame. They're making their job easier, and in a creative environment like myself, that we have. I mean, there's so many different variables that you can have, but understanding, okay, this is the technical part. you streamline that, you can get to the creative part. Yeah, it's just, having that initiative is huge.
This is Jim McDaniels. If I can just interject again, I mean, I think of the three of us here, I think Bob has the most employees, and let's just say he's got 15 plumbers or whatever their titles are. Imagine that one person that comes to work for Bob that does a little extra and takes on some initiative, and imagine how much that person is going to stand out, regardless how long they've been with Headland Plumbing, above their employee peers. I mean, it's only a great thing for that individual and shows a lot of initiative.
I would agree 100% on that strongly. The standouts will. Now, the counter side of that, if you're slagging behind, you have a bad attitude, you're making it difficult for others, you really there's some people that are just not happy people. They just, no matter what you try to do, they don't want to fit in. Trust me, they stand out as well. And you as a person, as an individual, you have to make the decision, which side of that coin do you want to stand out at? Because you will stand out, either in a positive way or in a negative way.
And it's this is Paul again at UnoDeuce. And for a guy like myself who does not like to micromanage, I'm not a micromanager, and I don't like to be forced to do it. Having those employees that just step up and do the things that are necessary, that even just be intuitive about it, really takes a lot off my back.
I think there's one thing as owners or managers that it's important. If you are with a personality that micromanages and you know exactly how you want everything done, you better know exactly how to do the job before you start telling somebody how to do it. Because I think some of the best systems and the best ways of enhancing and building the structure of your business is ask the people that are actually doing it. Because you may be looking at it from a management standpoint or a cost standpoint, but they're actually doing it, and there's a lot of times, for me, whether it's a new tool, whether it's a way and steps of doing it, and talk to those employees, talk to the people through your entire team, have that communication of exactly, if you were to write a manual of exactly how to do your job, how would it be? Because a lot of the times the people doing it have a better idea than you do.
Okay. In conclusion, do any of you remember his name? The guy we're referencing.
Theo Epstein.
It's something to do with the Cubs.
Yeah, the Cubs, the Chicago Cubs.
I do recognize his name after you mentioned some of the...
Okay. So if I were to come up to one of you, if I work for you, and I said, what part of your job do you hate and what can I do, you would have an answer for me?
Yes.
Absolutely. In fact, it's already been delegated.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I didn't get to you soon enough on that one. Let's get back to the topic, keys to delegating as a small business owner. And one of the points that from the article that we're referencing on this topic, they say hire carefully based on skills you need. Think of this as future delegation. Do you think about that when you hire somebody in terms of the skills that they possess? Maybe you notice something in an interview, if that's at all possible, that, maybe they're the right person where I can delegate something to them in the future. Is this for more of a corporation?
This is Jim McDaniels. I'll jump in first. For me, my agency is so small that it's very, very important that I should be doing that. I'm certainly looking at the position, hoping that individual will be able to do the job. But I really, really have to trust that individual. I got to feel like, we can be a team. We can come to work together. I know some people out there say, hire for the position, don't hire the person. Hire the position, don't hire the person. And, if you have more success than I do at hiring for that position, I think when it comes time to delegate, or, you've already decided it before you've hired that person, this is what that job entails. If you're hiring for that position, then you're kind of trying to, you're in essence, you're taking the person out of it. For me, that's difficult to do. I'm human, probably difficult for everybody a little bit, but.
What about a task that you want to delegate, but there is nobody within your business that can, let's face it, they can't jump on day one and figure the whole thing out. So you basically got to teach them what they need to do with this task. Are you willing to do that? Because it's going to eat up your time to teach them this. Eventually, you hope that they'll be able to take it over, but that's probably not assured.
Well, this is Paul with UnoDeuce Multimedia. And in that case, what happens for what we do and the aspects of what we're focused on is typically that teachable aspect comes from the top down. Yeah, you take some time or your own to teach your manager, who in turn, delegates it out to the person below them. I mean, I know, like I said, we're a small shop, but we really have a streamlined way of doing this. And I do less and less teaching because, the management that I have underneath me, if you want to call it that, does that job of saying, this goes here, that you do it this way, this is our process, and then you just reinforce and you reinforce from there. So that's what's been helpful for me when I brought in employees over the years. And a lot of them just, it's weird because we are small, but it seems like the folks stay and they come in through an entry level and move up. And so when someone moves on, somebody's ready to take that spot and already knows, oh, okay, this is how it's been, and is ready to display that to the person below them. It's kind of interesting how that worked.
Tony, you mentioned earlier about taking the time to train them. I think, again, it's going to be what's your goal of business? Is your goal to be around in a month, or is your goal to be around in years? Mm-hmm. Because if you take a month and train that person, yeah, you may have to do it over and over, and you give up a couple of weeks of training. But beyond, generally, people within a week or two, or within a couple 3 weeks, they have a pretty good idea how exactly what you want. So yeah, give up that week or two, train them, because then you've got somebody that can do that for the years to come instead of just looking at today.
Completely agree with that.
And this is Jim, and I to answer your question, Tony, I think you have to. I mean, you can delegate training to some extent, maybe if you've got a big enough team. But at the end of the day, culture, expectations. At least in my office, there isn't anybody better to train my staff than me. So I have to invest that time for due to the size of my company. I don't have a choice. The expectation is that as I teach things, they'll be learned, and I can teach something different. And it can take numerous months to get through that.
When the delegation occurs finally and it's off your plate, what is the follow-up, I guess, on your end? Because you mentioned the word micromanage a little bit earlier. You don't want to just completely berate your employee or just follow every aspect of what they're doing. Or do you? I don't know. Do you let them kind of like run free and take it over and own it? Or is there a follow-up? How do you navigate that?
Well,
I'm sorry.
I was just going to mention, you teach a child to ride a bike. Just because they go out there and ride at one time, you just don't take the training wheels off. You generally raise the training wheels little by little, and pretty soon they're riding the bike on their own. This is no different. You teach them how to do it. You give them a little bit of space, a little more, and a little more. Within a short period of time, they're off and running on their own and doing it. I'm not a big believer of just, okay, there you go, and you turn your back and you never look over their shoulder. Of course you have to, because you want to make sure you have consistency. But at the same time, it's all in the training, and that's all a part of the process. It takes time. And
this is Paul with UnoDeuce, and we have certain apps that we use so that people know what's in the pipeline, what the tasks are, what has to happen. And so anytime those things are checked off or moved, and I'm notified immediately that those things are happening. And so I see stuff visually while I'm out of the office, out and about like normal. And so I feel like not only is stuff getting done and you're seeing it, but I also feel like I'm part of that loop. And so I know how to ask questions and ask specific questions, or know where people are, and we can move on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm. Tony, Jim McDaniels. Back in my painting days a number of years ago, I had the privilege of doing a lot of work for Spartan Motors out in Charlotte. One of the coolest things that I learned and I took away from that is a slogan that they have: don't expect what you don't inspect. Don't expect from somebody what you're not willing to inspect. And so I think you have to make sure that you're doing quality control, because you don't know if it's getting done otherwise.
That's a good one. Man, you guys are good at these quotes that you just roll off. Bob has them all the time, and Jim, great. Paul, give me one, please. Never mind. We don't need to go there. Something though,
wow,
Paul. That
no time at all on that one.
We move quick. We're limited on time. You were gonna. Do you have one?
Discover or document your why. That's my quote.
There you go.
Look at that.
There you
Look
go.
at that. That's so good. Now, Paul, before we wrap it up here, something that strikes me that you brought it up numerous times with your staff and how basically everybody just picks up the slack. It's a team. It's like a well-oiled machine, and it's only 3 people. And you have a competitive marketplace in terms of other people that are doing work similar to yours. There's a difference. We don't need to go into all that. Where do you find these people that are able to just jump right in there and just get it going?
Well, they do come from the schools. They do come from LCC and MSU. That's where I've gotten my employees. But we build a creative not marketplace, but creative environment, and so that allows folks to feel like, well, I have freedom to breathe, but at the same time, these systems are in place that, okay, I know where I'm at, I know where things are. It's been an amazing ride with the folks that I've been able to bring in, because we try to create an environment in which they can learn, in which they can create, and in which they can have fun.
Mm-hmm. If anybody wants to get in touch with you, what's the easiest way to do so?
Go to UnoDeuce.com, UnoDeuce.com.
And it's all right there. This has been another edition of the Michigan Business Wrap here on the Team 92.1. A big thank you to all of our business experts today, and they were
Bob Hedlund, Hedlund Plumbing.
Jim McDaniels of the McDaniels Insurance Agency, Farm Bureau Insurance.
Paul Schmidt with UnoDeuce Multimedia.
Paul, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Another great conversation. Be sure to stick around here on the Team 92.1. The Schuling Report with Ryan Schuling is coming up next. Our website, if you miss anything, it's mibizwrap.com. Connect with all the business experts and listen to a show over again. Maybe you missed one. It's right there for you on demand, mibizwrap.com. My name is Tony Cuthbert. A big thank you to the producer of this program, Morgan Hall. Without her, well, the show wouldn't exist. mibizwrap.com. This is the Michigan Business Wrap.